Hello and welcome back to CEO.CA's coverage live from the Precious Metal Summit in Beaver Creek 2024. I am excited to be joined by Alan Sabet, the CEO and Director of Mogotes Metals. They trade on the venture exchange under the ticker MOG. Alan, how are you finding the conference so far?
Amazing. Yeah. No, I've had meetings back to back. I've barely had time to breathe. Lots of interest. As you know, lots going on in our company. And so we've been having a really good set of meetings here.
Fantastic. Yeah, always good to hear when people are busy, sign of business being done.
Yes.
Let's talk about Mogotes. You listed this summer on the venture exchange, but obviously private for some time before that. Tell us maybe a bit of the history of the company and what are the key facts that investors should know?
Yeah, look, the company came together about 2 years ago, and when it happened, it was really exciting already. It was ground in really productive kind of mineral district. Filo del Sol had a high-grade discovery.
Yes.
858 meters at 1.7% copper. And we were right in the heart of it with a lot of alteration, but very little data exploration-wise. Since we acquired the project in 2022, or we signed that option deal, NGX Minerals, another one of our neighbors, had made a really large discovery called Lunahuasi. And that took this company's valuation, NGX Minerals, from, in the hundreds of market cap to, now I think it's at 1.8 billion market cap. Fantastic discovery they made there. Yeah. And that was drilling an alteration zone as well. So we've worked 2 seasons and we've upped the level of data on this project significantly. And I know when we came on, these are estimates, but I would estimate that the sampling coverage on the project was maybe 30%. Taking it up to something closer to 90%, 85% of key areas. The geophysical data that was available is very limited. We had maybe 15% of the project had IP geophysical data.
Yeah.
Now around, 85% as well.
Okay.
What does that mean? That means we're closer to making that discovery. So we've done 2 seasons of work, and we've delineated serious, attractive exploration targets. And the other thing that happened blew our mind. About 2 months ago, BHP, the biggest mining company in the world, came in to buy our neighbor. They've bid 4.5 billion Canadian dollars jointly with Lundin Mining. And that's exciting. It means that this is going to be a mining camp, and copper is going to be mined here for 100 plus years, most likely, if that happens. And that's significant for us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll talk in a few moments about that work that's been done. But I guess when it comes to the Vicuña district, what is it about the geology here that produces, these massive discoveries that can be mined for, a century?
Stepping back a little bit, there's a roughly 1,000 kilometer belt that it's in the mountains between Argentina and Chile that's producing currently, a number of producing mines are on there. Roughly 40% of the world's copper comes out of there. Mm-hmm. The Vicuña district was a gap in that productive belt. The Lundin Group came in and started exploring there. I think one of their hypotheses was, hey, there should be producing mines here. Yeah. It's no different, structurally and geologically from many of the other places that are producing mines. I mean, there's some geological differences, but that was the theory. And they've proven it out. And so that's what's happening here. And there's a very favorable structural setting here with cross-cutting faults that produce a plumbing system that brings up metals. And, that's where porphyries form as well. And that's what we are in. We're in that structural setting as well at Mogotes in our project.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I think certainly interesting. There was maybe an overlooked region. Yeah, I think obviously the acquisition of Filo, could be transformational for Mogotes in terms of, the investment and infrastructure that is going to be put in place there, very nearby. Let's talk about some of the work that you've been doing. And so you mentioned a lot of that mapping work and really bringing up coverage of the project, but also you had an initial 3-hole program with results out just last week, I believe.
Yes.
Walk us through some of the highlights of that program.
Right. So the first hole, we were targeting a more or less blind geophysical anomaly that we had found towards the south of the property. It was called Cruz del Sur. And it had a very attractive signature in terms of what you'd expect to see in a porphyry. And but very little data on the surface because of a gravel layer that it covered over the top. Okay. So we had to go off the geophysics to a large degree, but because of the nature of that target, quite attractive. We drilled it, It was about a 500-meter hole, and we intersected around 130 meters of 0.22 grams gold with anomalous zinc, numbers. And for us, that's quite significant because we just discovered a new system that was unknown. It was mostly geophysical, vectors into that. And we think that we know the source of that anomalous gold and zinc. And zinc is typically a distal element when it comes to a porphyry system. So as we get closer in, we'd hope to see the grades at the gold and other elements like copper jumping up. And so what we've announced there is that, because of the ground magnetics coverage that we have, we're able to see a large magnetic body that's also chargeable in the IP surveys.
Okay.
That's basically where we're going next. So the arrows are pointing us quite close to it, to a large, about a 1 kilometer sized magnetic anomaly. And that's where we'll go next. So that's the first hole.
Okay.
The second hole was about a 1.2 kilometer hole. That was going to test a large magnetotelluric conductive body that sits under a very, very altered terrain called Colorita. And there was some small amount of historic drilling in that area, but not in this particular area. And the reason we like this is because we thought that there might be a breccia there where, you have the chance of encountering higher tenor mineralization. And there was. So in the first 800 meters, we actually did see an unidentified breccia, and we had anomalous copper in there as well, at the top of the breccia, but also towards the base of the hole. And for us, this is significant. It's the first deep hole in the project. And what we're seeing there is two particular locations where we think that fluid may have accumulated that will be our follow-up targets. So information on that's in our press release. But it's great information. It's going to guide us closer to the discovery that we're hoping to make in that particular target. Okay, I think it's important to say the 2 years of work we've put in here has generated 9 exploration target areas, and we've really just started. So the work that's going to come up in the season ahead is going to really advance all these targets more and more towards that discovery stage.
Alan, thanks a lot for that overview. I guess looking ahead in terms of future work programs, how are you hoping to continue to explore these 9 targets on the property?
Yeah, each have their own nature and their own plan. We're going to be there in probably 4 to 6 weeks again on the ground, getting things done. Because we've got so many high-quality targets, we have a plan for each of them. In some, we'll be trenching, some will be sampling, and others will work up quickly to the drill stage and hope to get a drill up there to drill. Yeah. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but we're excited to get up there, for example, at the Filon Alunita trend. It's a 4-kilometer high sulfidation epithermal structure, alunite, that we found, and we only had one sample there. That sample was 4.3 grams gold and over 100 ppm silver, over the detection limit. And we were going to go up there and do trenches and sample more, but the season ended 2 months early this year. And it was in our press releases, so I think, that was one of the barriers to getting that work done. And you really need to do that work before you pump a drill hole into there, so you pick that location.
Absolutely. I think in terms of de-risking it, Vital, what is the drill season like at the project?
So work season is from October through to, last year we made it to kind of the first couple of weeks of June. This year it ended the middle of April. Yeah. I would say middle of April is the worst case. We expect to get into the first couple of weeks of May. Okay. It's quite variable. It's like weather.
Yeah. Weather. That makes sense. I guess, big focus on copper in the region, but, you mentioned you're seeing a few other kind of minerals showing up when you're doing this work. Is the focus here going to be polymetallic, or are you going to be doubling down on copper?
Well, whatever we find, but what we have is 2 types, broadly speaking, of deposit here. We got the high sulfidation epithermal type and the porphyry type. And, you get more of a precious metals mix in the high sulfidation epithermal, and you get more of that copper in the porphyry and type of deposit. So we're looking at both of those, metals mixes, copper, gold, moly, copper, silver, gold, moly in the porphyry, or in the high sulfidation epithermal system, get more of a precious metals component. Okay. If you look at Filo, they got a lot of silver in it, for example, a lot of gold in it, and no, it's anything. But as I said, some of our prospects, 4-gram gold rock chip, we're expecting quite a lot of gold in that system.
Yeah. Well, look forward to seeing more results there. I guess you put out a press release recently. You acquired some historical geophysical data.
Yes.
Walk us through how did you acquire that data, and how's that data going to be put to use?
Yeah, so one step back, we went and got a lot of our own data because there was a lack of coverage. But one of the things that we didn't do, we did IP, we did MT, we did deep penetrating IP. We didn't complete the magnetics picture on the project. There just wasn't enough time. We went and started talking to Vale, who had really, the last exploration that was done before we came into the picture was in 2012 by Vale. And we started a conversation with some of their team, and we managed to, through dialogue and cooperation from them, and thanks to them, go back into the archives. They pulled out floppy disks, and they brought together data that was, good, comprehensive magnetic coverage over the whole area of interest. And that's going to be really helpful because with that data, it's kind of close-spaced magnetic lines that are from the ground. You can generate 3D models. And we've put that, and we're gonna use that for targeting, and we're already using it for, establishing where our next drill holes are going to be.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Well, looking ahead, we've had some exciting updates throughout the year, going public, having this initial program, obviously huge catalyst, a lot of attention on the region with the Filo acquisition.
Yes.
What comes next for Mogotes?
Well, we're going to, boots on the ground very soon, and we're going to start exploring some of these exciting prospects like Filo and El Unita that have only had one sample. We're going to sample that thing. I'm going to put out these results. As soon as, they come out of the lab, you'll be hearing about Filo and El Unita. You'll be hearing about Rincon. It's a 2-kilometer north-south area where our trenches just keep exposing veined copper-rich or gold-rich rocks. We're going to do more of that. We're going to get up and start positioning, where we're going to, firm up some of the drill targets that we're working on. So we're putting teams up there very soon, and then the news will follow after that of what we're finding. And I'm, every time we've gone up there and we've applied systematic, scientific approaches to exploration, we come up with the goods. So I think, stay tuned. It's a district that's produced a lot, and I hope that our project won't be any different.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I will certainly be staying tuned. Looking forward to more updates from Mogotes over the next few months. Alan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. A pleasure. Yeah.